Hi, everybody. Come on in, everybody. So I decided to have a short talk while I had a little break. I got about 15 minutes before I got to go. Okay. I'm not about wasting time. I like to keep my time productive. Okay. I wanted to talk to y'all for a minute about this this whole trend of obsession of getting guidance. I think it's becoming toxic. People being hardcore into guidance, and I found out that um, you don't need much guidance. Okay, we all think that, but we actually don't, because intuition is the number one way to guide yourself. But what everybody needs, and what I realized recently again is everyone needs healthy obsessions. Okay, a lot of people think they got a healthy obsession, but they don't. Okay, people think it's a healthy obsession to watch video after video after video after video of the same guidance and everybody talking about their trauma and pain over and over and over and over again. People think that that's a healthy obsession when it's not. We know that narcissists can keep you in that cycle of always talking about the same pain with no solution. And that's what makes them time bandits. That's how you waste your most valuable time, your time resource. Time is your most valuable resource. So when you get healthy obsessions, you're really making time work for you. Okay? You're literally making time work harder to take you. Okay? You're cracking the whip on time, like time. If you want me, you're gonna have to work real hard because I have a healthy obsession, which means I'm not going to get the full impact of your ticking and your talking. That's what you're saying at time. When you have a healthy obsession, you're saying at time like, yeah, you can keep on moving, but that don't mean you're gonna win. That don't mean you're going to destroy me like you want to, according to the way you're moving along. So the point that I'm making, telling everyone, is if you want to take back the power from the devil, from toxic people, narcissistic people, you want to win against financial demons. You have to find healthy obsessions, not one, because your day is longer than you think when you're not dealing with toxic people. You have way more time and energy. That means you need healthy obsessions, plural. You need a couple of healthy obsessions. One obsession is not enough because that one obsession is going to start to feel like it's a burden because that's the only one you have. So having multiple obsessions, like for me, my obsessions with landscapes recently and leaves and flowers and botanicals and things like that. My obsession with that. I have an obsession with understanding how some of the great work, the work that I wish I wrote, I have an obsession with figuring out how they wrote it. Um, I will literally just take some time every week and study that specific work to figure out how that writer wrote it. It's like an obsession of mine. So whatever literature I love, it becomes an obsession. And that also goes for like a healthy diet. If you have a healthy diet and you know that your cravings are gone and you're seeing results, then you need to become obsessed with that diet. You don't go trying others because that one worked. You don't say, well, this one worked, let me try another. No, you say, I'm a become obsessed with the one that's working. And that goes for when you see success in anything. If you see success in writing, if one of your poems get published multiple times and celebrated, and you become obsessed with that specific type of writing. But one obsession is not enough, and I don't know why nobody talks about this. Because last thing you want is for a healthy obsession to start to feel like it's toxic when it's not. It's only toxic because you're not letting it, you're not giving it a break sometime. Okay. So I think that most people need to have an obsession list. We often have a goal list, but what about an obsession list? Okay, what about something that you can't stop fantasizing about? Something that shows up in your dreams a lot. That's probably something that your subconsciousness is obsessing over and want you to take action to physically obsess over it. So if you journal your dreams for like 30 days and you see repeated themes, then those are something you should be obsessed with. For example, if you know every time when you have during dreams, there's always babies showing up in it, or there's people, there's people singing in your dreams all the time. You had a dream where people sang more than once, more than one dream with singers, then you probably should obsess over singing or at least something related to singing. Sometimes you have to use your dreams and synchronicities to find out what you're supposed to obsess over. There's actually an angel number scripture that says that God would be happy if you had a healthy obsession. When you're getting synchronicities, that is the God saying, "This is what I want you to obsess over." Okay, creatively, of course, not just talking about. Okay, because if you're obsessing over something where you're just talking about it, then you're taking the easy way of obsessing over it. You're basically still living in fear of being obsessed over it because you're afraid of what people may think. So you're just talking about it and not actually doing it. Okay, there's people who don't spend their whole life talking about singing. They're actually still singing. They sing a lot more than they actually talk about it. So I find that if you think you have a healthy obsession, ask yourself, um, was it so easy to dive into? If it's so easy to dive into, then it's probably not a help. It's not the genuine obsession. You're just using what Stephen Pressfield called a shadow version of that obsession. Uh, so for me, I kept talking about spiritual stuff when the true obsession is for me to write about it, write the lessons. But I kept on just like free talking about it because it was the shadow version of my obsession. Hi, everybody. If you want healing, obsess over something that has nothing to do with talking about the pain. Meaning this, you can obsess about talking about the pain, but it must be in a way that still keeps you grounded. If you're talking about your pain all the time and you know it's just in arguments and complaining and stuff, then that's not a healthy obsession. Okay, you have to feel grounded when you're done doing it. If you're grounded when you're done doing it and you have positive feelings and you feel like you're lighter inside, then it is a healthy obsession. Okay, I'm trying to explain this to y'all. I had a couple minutes before I I go to a workshop. And here's it with me. For me, I am determined to use up my time. Okay? Use up my time. I feel like the rest is for the dead. Rest is for them. Okay? Rest for me is because I'm planning. Rest for me is because I'm meditating. Some of y'all won't rest, so you rest to figure out what you're supposed to be obsessed over. That's why you can't, that's why you don't know. That's why you have all these big pockets of time to waste just streaming and surfing online. But if you rest to say, what am I supposed to be obsessed over? Okay. I'm done with this obsession. What's the next obsession that's healthy for me, God? That's why I'm resting. We don't need meditation. We need healthy obsessions. If you do healthy obsessions, you won't even be thinking about meditating. while everybody else is meditating at that time, you're too busy involved with the healthy obsession. Now, people love to say, well, meditating is a healthy obsession. Actually, if you do meditation too long, then you're probably in denial that you're living in fear about doing something else. You're also probably lazy and calling it meditating, obsession meditation. There's a guy on YouTube who says he meditates for 4 hours and then he puts up a YouTube video. I find that he is living in denial because he's living in denial that he's actually scared to do anything else. Okay. He's like, oh, I'm going to meditate to see what else I get in my mind. But he doesn't realize that there's other parts of your brain that doesn't want to be wasted, like your creative side, okay, your artistic side. So, but when you're meditating, you're just meditating, and then when you come out of meditation, you're doing the same thing that you do every day, and it's one obsession. Then you're literally you're neglectful of the other parts of your brain. The creator wants us to have multiple healthy obsessions. Okay, multiple. And that's just the truth. Okay? Because in the old days, our ancestors realized that if somebody was the cook and they got eaten by a wildebeest, somebody needed to be able to take over. So everyone had to have multiple obsessions to be able to fall back on one. So let's say somebody can't do the job, you could do it. Okay, I feel like this, you have to live your life like, just in case I lose this obsession, do I have another? Like, do I have another? When I think of when I think of I Love Lucy, and y'all know how much I like I Love Lucy, and I have her cup, which is my favorite. Okay, I'll probably be buried with this cup. My I Love Lucy cup. But I Love Lucy, when she was done acting, she actually went into painting. When Michael Jackson wasn't singing, he was painting. When he wasn't writing, he was painting. The thing what I'm making is that you can't leave your time so open because you'll start wandering, and wandering minds is the devil's playground. Okay. When you're going from one healthy obsession to another, you're not tempted to go into the devil's playground, and you're not really going to attract demonic energy. Okay. You kind of automatically cut people out your energy because you're not a wandering mind. You're not like on standby like a screensaver on a computer. You're not in that energy. You're actually active with the healthy obsession. Healthy obsessions are still protection. Okay? And that's the thing. All right? Um, you can stack your healthy obsessions so that you never run out of healthy obsessions. Meaning this, you can break down healthy obsessions within a big healthy obsession. You can have small obsessions within that. So, like, let's say you're a landscape artist. Instead of doing whole landscapes, maybe you'll be obsessed with just doing leaves for 2 months. And then the next 2 months, you're obsessed with just doing tree branches. And then the next month, you're obsessed with just doing the ground. This is how Picasso became great. His father literally made him have a healthy obsession with each part of his artistic growth. And he kept it separate so that when he finally did do all the obsessions as a whole, he Picasso became Picasso then. Okay? So what I'm saying is um when you do healthy obsessions, you're not doing them because you're like, oh, I'm trying to get attention or I'm trying to get success. You're trying to make the use of your most valuable time. Okay? Nothing's more expensive than time. So you're like, I'm not wasting my time. I know that time gets shorter the more I waste it. Believe it or not, no one who's lived a life of healthy obsessions are saying I wasted my life when they're 90. They're not saying that. They're not saying life was short. People who say life is short is people who know they have done things with their time that God gave them no spiritual value. They're saying life is short or life was short. Hi, everybody. Okay, so I had a little pep talk with y'all. Um, I told y'all I'll put a video up every now and then. It won't be every day anymore. I don't want y'all to lose this channel, okay? Until I can back up all the videos and get the main ones off. I'm going to upload a video at least twice a week and give y'all something to watch. But your obsessions can be ridiculous, okay? It could be something though you feel it would be ridiculous to obsess over, but you know it would probably change the game for you altogether. So, for example, obsessed with doing leg raises because you want your poofa gone. Okay, what if you most of your workout was just leg raises? 90% of the time, that's what you did in your workout. Okay, that would be you having a healthy obsession. It would be a healthy obsession because you don't want a poofa, but at the same time, you would be going about it differently than most people. Most people just include that in a part of the workout, but you're making it the obsessed part of the workout. So you would probably achieve faster than everyone else in getting rid of your poopa. You may not have the biggest legs, but if that's not the obsession that you desire, that you fantasize about, then you might also not even make that important. It should stay a small percentage, okay, of your workout. So I was giving you an example, giving y'all an example. So for example, also you pick your healthy obsessions based upon also your weaknesses. Okay, once you get really, 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 really exceptionally good to the point where you're just in flow state good with it, excellent, then you can take a break from that obsession and go do it and find a new obsession that's based upon a weakness that you have. So, for example, my weakness is planning and outlining my poems. Okay, so I probably need to have an obsession with outlining and planning my poetry. That will actually change the game for me entirely because I already had an obsession with learning the techniques. I already did that. So if I do that 15% of the time and the rest of the percentage out of 100, I'm obsessed with planning and structure, then by the time I get really good at that and I merge it with the obsession of technique that I already did, I will probably reach a whole nother level of mastery in writing poetry. Okay. It would probably be like, become so it's easy as just getting out of bed and walking down the street for me. So, the thing is, we become too hooked on things that we already have mastered. We become too hooked on obsession over things that's easy access to obsessing. Like it's easy to obsess over YouTube. You just press a button on your app and you're there. Okay? It's easy to obsess over talking to strangers when you could just click online and then it's like tons of strangers. Okay? But what about being obsessed with actually speaking to people out here in these streets? Now that would be an obsession that is like almost obsolete. A lot of people aren't doing that. But you would be putting out a whole different energy out here, literally improving the metaphysical energy because you are obsessed with talking to people in person. You are obsessed with meeting your friends for lunch, not talking over the phone while eating. The point that I'm making is most of the people, the way they are obsessing over stuff, its season has passed, it's obsolete, it has become toxic, and it's become just a way for them to stay a coward in doing the obsession another way that's actually better for them. They're staying a coward at doing that. Okay. Hi, everybody. Hi, Shamika. So stop writing your goal list. Okay. Because the goal will be achieved when you become obsessed. The words you speak determine the energy you will bring. If you say goal, then you're not going to bring big emperor energy of real power of obsession. So rename your list obsession. Okay. So obsession. Okay. My obsession for 2025 spring through summer. Now, guess what happens when you have a healthy, make sure you put healthy obsession. Okay. When it's a healthy obsession, there is no limit to how often you can do it because it's healthy. All right. Um, Remember, you can break your obsessions down into one big obsession, micro healthy obsessions. Um, Now, when you do have healthy obsessions, guess what that do? That blocks any unhealthy obsessions that might have been taking hold of you and you didn't know. So, for example, you're dealing with a narcissist in disguise and you don't know. Okay, you know how obsessive they can get you in, obsessive with working things out with them. So, because you have all these other obsessions, really taking advantage of time being a resource, that's why. Because you want to respect that resource, utmost respect. But you want to be able to be lighter inside without it being costly at such a high price. Healthy obsessions don't come with a high price. They're not as expensive as narcissists and just trolling online all the time for social apps. That's expensive. That's time expensive. That's time, that's energy expensive. But healthy obsessions aren't, because what you what you get is has a lot of value to it, whether it's spirit, mental, physical creation. It has a lot of value to it. Okay, because whatever you have learned through your healthy obsession, that's all you get to take with you when you die. That's it. That's the bottom line. Okay, that's all that knowledge, all that mastery in the mind that you got through that healthy obsession, that's all you're taking with you. And that's all you're going to be able to give to your family from the other side. Okay. I realize that your judgment and going to God is also based on what you can bring to the other side. Okay. If you don't have great abundance in your mind, why would you be allowed to serve? You would probably be in a waiting place, purgatory, until judgment time. But if you have a lot of abundant mind because of these healthy obsessions, then of course you will be chosen to be an angel or a guide on the other side. You won't be in the dark dimension. So that's something to think about. Okay, that's why they say the mind is a terrible thing to waste. You waste your mind, you're literally wasting um you're wasting the possibilities of the abundance your soul can have once it's leaving your body. Okay? The privileges it will have. You're blocking yourself from those. When you get healthy obsessions, you are helping the creator to decide what privileges you will have when you're no longer in your body. Oh, that's deep. Okay, if y'all enjoyed this video, feel free to let me know. If you like to send a cash appreciation, you can send it to my cash app at money sign Coach B Hunter. All donations are really helping me to fund my healthy obsession. So I appreciate your donations. This content shall not be used without my express permission. I will end up having a whole lesson. There's a whole extended part on this, but that will be taught some other time. Bye, everybody.